Eviona versus Dileira. On commentary, my name is Grimillos, and I'm joined by Flux. How's it going, Flux?
It's going all right, and this is going to be quite an interesting race. I think I say that every time.
It's usually true. This is out of the Tatsu division, Tatsu being the ancestral spirit for climb, if it wasn't obvious from the climb background, although it's kind of funny because this particular scene that's in the background, we pretty much never see in the run anymore, right, Flux?
Yeah, that's definitely true, although the same could have been said for a lot of the particular scenes used for backgrounds. I know the stage that I was in was the prologue area that is literally never seen because you can skip it.
That's right. So jumping into some information on our runners and the brackets and all this fun sort of preliminary stuff we like to run through before the match. Eviona is currently 11th seed. She has a personal best of 29.45, so she's already past that sub 30 mark, which is, I mean, it's absurd. Anything in the low 30s or especially sub 30 is ridiculous, and she's playing on keyboard mouse, as are many of our fastest players. And I'll toss over to you, Flux, if you want to talk about Dileira.
Yes, and Dileira is currently seed 22, and has a current PB of 32.21. So there's about three and a half minutes or so difference between their PBs. So definitely pretty close, and anything could happen in terms of the race itself.
Well, anything could happen. I will say that, as we've discussed in other matches, a 3-minute delta at this low of a time is more impactful than a 3-minute delta at, say, the 40 range. So, as you said, anything could happen, or is a pretty fickle speedrun, and it's possible that Eviona will make some mistakes and Dileira will play exceptionally well, but it is most likely that Eviona will take this victory. She is the better seed with a better PB, and, you know, not just a better PB, like a just ridiculously good time. So I probably expect to see Eviona take a victory, but we'll see what happens, I suppose.
Although, it is also worth mentioning that, according to this little graph down here in the bottom left of the screen, Dileira does have rather better consistency in this tournament so far, so that could also play a factor in the final results.
There's lots of factors.
Yes.
Lots of factors that affect the story speedrun.
Yes, definitely a lot of things.
We'll be getting started shortly with our nice Kuro transition. The SRL race is counting down, so we'll wait for the Twitch delay to go through, and then all of our lovely viewers here can sort of enjoy the race. Hopefully we can enjoy it too. Some sort of scattered other notes I wanted to point out, so sort of keep in mind as this race progresses, is that Dileira is going to be going 3 HP for most of this run, whereas most of our runners go for 4 HP. Remember that due to the poison water in the final escape way further at the end of the run, we're going to eventually need a total of 5. And most runners get 4 early and then get a 5th. Dileira is not going to be doing that, so we'll sort of bring it back up in a moment, but I think it's a pretty ballsy move, to be honest, to be going for 3 health.
Yes, especially because it is optimal to get the latest 2 health cells that are possible. However, that leaves 3 HP for most of the run, and a lot of the stuff that you get in the mid to late parts of the run can therefore kill you pretty much instantly, no matter how much you have. So it leaves you extremely vulnerable to very sudden time loss.
All the willpower and determination in the universe, if you have Undertale levels of determination, you still can't survive a 3-hit spike in Misty Woods. Anyway, we picked up Sign. Step 1, we're going to be taking out 3 Frankies, because every Frankie that we can remove from the forest is A-okay in my book. As expected, we don't really see any differences whatsoever. Pretty common, even between probably the top seed and the bottom seed, you wouldn't see very much of a differential in the early game. And then we'll be coming on to Keystones. There's often not a huge amount to discuss in the early game of Ori if you're sort of familiar with the speedrun, because it's, I hope I don't curse anyone as always, but it's sort of rather difficult to make mistakes that are too catastrophic in the early run, would you say?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's like pretty much, especially early on, most of the early run is just relatively minor optimizations until you start getting into like some of the more difficult areas, such as getting into, say, Blackroot burrows.
That's right. Even though they are minor optimizations, they are still optimizations, and those little improvements have allowed Eviona on the left to take a very early lead. Again, not much to speak of. Looks like both Evi and Dileira got a nice 1 health Ghost Door, which is the fastest possible Ghost Door. Eviona is also going for 3 health. I was not aware of that. Okay, so this will be a very, very interesting race. Dileira is taking a risk by avoiding the 4th health, but so is his opponent. So it's all going to come down to execution, I suppose.
Yeah, execution, and that is pretty much the key word for pretty much anything in Ori speedruns, but especially so when these slight route differences that we might have expected at first are not actually going to be differences at all.
That's right. I'll also sort of point out for anyone who may be unaware, if you look at Evi's screen, you can kind of notice that when her UI was on, it was sort of at the bottom of the screen. That's because Eviona plays at a little bit of a lower resolution. I believe that's probably for performance reasons, although I may be completely wrong about that. So if anyone's sort of watching and you see minor, small issues like that, it's something we're aware of, and it has no impact on the run. It's just sort of a port in how Eviona plays her game.
Yeah, they will be able to perform the run just as well as Dileira will.
I'm just excited to see this. We always sort of have to come up with things to talk about pre-wall jump. Things will sort of start to speed up with every new skill that we get. Things will especially start to speed up, after we get dash in the next area. But first we have to walk out. I actually missed whether they leveled up on the way in or the way out. There's Eviona's level up on the way out. Looks like Dileira got his on the way down.
Yeah, Dileira got it on the way down, yes.
Cool. Well, Flux, while we have a moment, how's your day going? What are you excited for out of this run?
Well, there's a lot to be excited for, and I am, especially with the 3 HP routes that are going to be happening, I am very excited to see how these runners will be able to perform in those very risky mid to late portions of the run, like I've mentioned before, because again, it's like one mistake there and either of them could lose a lot of time, and I'm very curious to see if that will... Ooh, Evi taking a bit of a death there. That's 2 deaths in a row. That is somewhat surprising, and Dileira taking a bit of a lead off of those deaths.
Well, I want to ask you ooh, and there's another one. That's a little bit rough. Good thing Evi had the safety save.
Yeah, that is a very good value safety save placement, and taking some extra experience. That's
not a directed question about Dileira as he comes into Blackroot Burrows. Given the skill level of both of these runners, are there any strats that you might expect to see out of Dileira or Evi as more experienced runners that you might not see out of newer players?
Well,
and the answer might be that there isn't. I kind of want to hear your take on it, provide some context for everyone.
Well, it appears that based off of that experience grab, Evi will be going for a strat and you can see this now. Evi is going for a strat in Blackroot Burrows called the Genocide strats, in which you have to kill every single slime that you come across rather than just a slight few. And it's technically a little bit faster, but it's also a lot more difficult and has some precision in it.
Okay, we may have had a delay there. Apologies, I think I had some Discord issues for a moment. I should be back now, though, getting confirmation from Tara. Sorry about that. Back to the race, no, back to the race. My Discord issues are not important here. Dileira has maintained his lead over on the right side compared to Eviona, who is, I think, working their way through Blackroot pretty okay, but due to those earlier deaths in Glades, is definitely at a deficit over on the left side there. We'll also hope that Dileira, as always, doesn't have any issues on the right side. Flux, are you still with us? Okay, I'm going to continue. It wouldn't be a tournament without... okay. Wouldn't be a tournament without technical issues. Deep breath, everyone. Thankfully, Evi and Dileira have to do the hard stuff. I just have to sit here and speak. So we'll sort of jump back into things. Dileira still has the lead on the right side, is performing a quick save anywhere glitch. I'm actually unclear. Is Dileira doing the... He's doing a bit of a newer strat, which I believe will involve a small amount of blind movement. Small amount of blind movement, which is something that most runners don't go for in the early game here. It's a relatively new strat, and like many of our newer strats in this speedrun, they don't save a huge amount of time. It's not that there aren't any more remaining optimizations in Ori. There are, I'm sure, but the optimizations that we find tend to be smaller rather than larger. But Dileira got through it just fine, so good job by him. Evi is taking their save anywhere as well, loading in and doing the more traditional cutscene skip to get over to dash. So both runners getting to dash. Evi unfortunately had some issues getting there, so she's going to be taking an early, I keep saying the word deficit, but an early deficit compared to Dileira. And Dileira is on his way through Frankie Walk. The froggy decided to sort of take a nap in the spikes, which can happen from time to time. So Dileira has to get this Frankie into a particular location and then kill it in order to absorb its experience and open the door. Nice. So that's step 1 of Frankie Walk. Step 2 is getting through the Death Bomb. It looks like Dileira opted for a bit of a short hop, which means he's going to have to dodge underneath this Frankie. Got through just fine. We'll see if he also decides to go for Death Glide or not. Looks like he did not, and he is through. Got up to the energy cell, no problem. We may be getting a backup commentator in here since we're having some technical difficulties on the Discord side, so apologies again for the sort of bit of an interruption here. I believe we're going to be getting Sigma in as a replacement, though.
Yeah, the internet tubes were clogged a little bit here, so I'm here. Dileira's going for Grotto Cycle. Let's see how this goes. Doesn't quite get it, but that's okay. It's only 8 seconds. And Dileira definitely has a nice lead here coming into Grotto at the moment.
It is nice. It is nice. Okay, I'm gonna take a deep breath. I got thrown out of the group there. We're good though. Evi has made it through the Death Gauntlet. Made a nice safety save. Is also going down. Let's see if Evi can get their Grotto Cycle. I hope so.
Yeah, Evi's pretty good at this, I think. So we'll have to see how this goes. Over on the left, Evi doing the dashes in. Nice movement up the wall. Oh, that really close, but didn't
Close one.
May have actually decided to bail out of it because they went for a dash glide and then canceled it, or maybe just didn't get it because they were afraid of getting 1 frame. But nonetheless, Dileira is going through that blind movement now, and Evi will be coming to double jump shortly.
Yeah, that was solid blind movement by Dileira. He got way up on the wall. It's possible to get super high, right? Like if you watch the task can get almost to the top of that wall jump section. I think for humans, it's more common to just get up 1, maybe 2 walls if you're really good. I believe Evi's quite good at it, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, we'll have to check it out. It's not the easiest thing to do, though, because normally when you jump up a wall, you're reacting to, like, jump at the moment you hit the wall, but doing that blind is far more difficult. Dileira doing some grotto skip action here, gets its second try, which is pretty darn good. Meanwhile, Evi, yeah, all the way almost touching the left wall by the time the camera catches up, so that's really, really spectacular blind movement there.
Well, I want to point out something that I think will work in Eviona's favor. I actually faced Evi in one of my group matches, and I was ahead for part of the run, I think due to some mistakes by Evi. And despite me having a lead pretty early on, Evi proceeded to royally destroy me and catch up just due to their ridiculously solid movement in the mid to late game. So even though Dileira is currently in the lead, absolutely don't count Evi out of this yet.
Yeah, I think that's a kind of standard theme between runners of like kind of lower PBs. Like, I mean, Dileira's PB is really good, like a low 32, but the difference between a 29 and a low 32 often comes in the late game where there's, you know, a lot more that can go wrong here and there. So I would expect to see Evi catch up, as you said.
That's right. You know what, Sigma? Hi, I just want to take a second. I feel like that transition was really rough. So hi, how's it going?
Oh, you know. Everything's good. Hey, is Flux back?
Flux may or may not be back.
Dude, I don't know what's going on.
You know, I'm happy that the two runners we have are, you know, relatively high runners as far as their seeds go, because I think their gameplay is going to be particularly enjoyable to watch. We can pretty much guarantee that their execution is going to be pretty solid, although Dileira is having some issues with some of his wall jumping, just sort of bleeding seconds here and there for Eviona to sort of drink up and hopefully start to gain up to, some of that lost time. Dileira is going to be making a pit stop over to a Spirit Well. These Spirit Wells in Definitive Edition also act as fast travel locations. They're teleporters. And the reason we're getting this teleporter is not for use now, but we are going to be using it later in the run. Way towards the end after we've picked up every single skill, but we're a long way from there. We got a little bit of a high five too. Oh god! The slime! Sniper Slime didn't have its revenge today.
Yes, that's definitely a bit of a... Oop, Eviona getting through it pretty quickly though. And...
Welcome back, Flux. Your internet lives.
Yes, my internet lives, and that is... yeah, my apologies for that. That is a bit of a...
It happens.
Yep.
Happens to the best of us. The internet tubes can get a little bit clogged sometimes. Dileira is into the Ginso tree, and Eviona just seconds behind, I believe, by the stats that we saw going in. Dileira is only maybe 7 to 8 seconds behind his previous best enter Ginso split. So despite many of these sort of mistakes and some more mistakes in the second room, they're virtually tied now. And Evie is going for the telehops. If Evie can get this cleanly, she's in the lead. Just like that, Evie's taking the lead.
Yes. Wow. Eviona taking the lead back, and Dileira doing his best to catch up to them, and both going through the safer upper route through that section of Ginso, because the lower route is only slightly faster and a little bit more safe. Eviona taking a bit of an intentional death there to set up a more optimal cycle in this puzzle room.
Yep, Dileira did the same.
Yes.
It's something you would expect to see out of runners with a low 32 time. That little trick there, just like many of these small 1 to 2 second time saves, none of them are required. You can get a sub 30 time, even skipping many of these super crazy strats like 3 health, which both Dileira and Evie are going for, and still get a good time. Anyway, to sort of jump over back to the left, Evie is taking their attempt at the mini boss. It's possible to get a 4 cycle, and holy goodness, that thing evaporated.
Yeah, that is definitely one thing, and that is definitely and Dileira taking a little bit longer, but still going through that mini boss fairly quickly, fairly effortlessly. That's definitely what you would expect to see from top level runners, especially on keyboard and mouse.
Certainly looks effortless, doesn't it, when runners are this good?
Yeah.
Anyway,
and getting a ghost store and jumping pretty much straight to the bash tree and getting bash.
Can you remind everyone what bash is? I think we've all seen this run a million times, but while we have a moment to just sort of refresh everyone's memory,
yes,
why is bash useful?
Bash is useful for very many reasons. It's one of the more versatile skills that you get. It lets you fling projectiles, fling yourself, fling everything around you. It's good for movement, it's good for platforming, and Evie taking a bit of a time to show off double bashing there, which is very difficult trick, only really often seen on keyboard and mouse.
I want to interrupt and jump over to the left. Evie is good. Okay, that looked a little bit far to the left, but it apparently worked. Evie got their key duplication successful, still just with a little bit of lead on Dileira. Dileira's coming up to his key dupe as well. Missed one key, but he can bash over to the left quite easily and pick it up again. Playing on keyboard mouse, both of these runners used a strategy to take a quick death where you just aim the bash in a certain direction, but that's okay. Also a nice double bash by Dileira. We're seeing lots of nice KBM strategies from both sides. Evie's also going to make quick work of this mini-boss, which you can really hardly call a mini-boss, to be quite honest. It's very, very straightforward. Definitely easier than the first one.
Yeah, it's kind of meant more as a tutorial for using bash to fight enemies rather than as a mini-boss in that sense.
Well, it's something that can be challenging for newer players too. It's trivial for speedrunners, but it can be challenging due to the spikes. But
yeah, the spikes and the rising and sinking platforms, if you don't know to just hop up onto that wall like both runners did here.
Flux, I'm going to toss to you again to prepare us for the swamp entry and maybe give some information about how we would expect to see Eviona perform the trick.
Yes, in the swamp entry, rather than finishing the Ginso tree, we are going to be going into the swamp area early. Evie has a 100% success rate on this trick, and due to keyboard and mouse, we'll be able to do some.
I want to interrupt. Evie fell in the poison water and took 2 points of damage. She should be okay because playing keyboard and mouse, even on controller for that matter, no damage is required. And she got through with 2 very clean double bashes. Also picked up the cell cleanly, got past that Rhino, and we are through. Dileira looks like had some issues and so has to take a death and go get his frog again.
Yes, and it's easy to dunk the frog. It's easy to accidentally kill the frog otherwise. It's easy to bash shot wrong and miss it, but again, as you said, with double bashing as an option on keyboard and mouse, it is not an easier setup, but definitely one that can be done with a little bit more consistency.
That's right. Dileira also got through it. Unfortunately, a second try rather than a first try is going to just lose him a little bit more time compared to Evie. So Evie definitely with a nice lead right now is going to take a bit of an intentional damage boost before heading back out of the swamp the same way that we came in. Don't forget that frog. We're going to have to use him a second time in just a moment to go get another ability cell. Overall, very, very clean play. Despite those early deaths by Eviona, they are doing overall quite well. I mean, it's as we talked about earlier, Evie's movement is just allowing them to catch up.
Yeah,
well, has caught up and is gaining.
Yeah, definitely very, very interesting to see that back and forth trade, and it's fair to say that neither runner has been doing particularly badly. It's just very slight time losses here or there for one or the other, and is.
Yep, let's jump to the Kuro cutscene skip, which Eviona has made it past. That is a trick that we talked about ad nauseum, so I'm not going to explain it again. We are going to get to see Dileira do it again, though. Evie just with some very, very clean play. I do want to give a bit of an update, even though Eviona is still in the lead. We had a 28-second delta back at the stomp tree. Thank you to Chicken Supreme in the truck for giving us that information. We'll also see what that delta looks like as we get towards Charge Flame. I would expect it to increase by a little bit. Would you agree?
Yeah, it's hard to say exactly, but Evie's play has been extremely clean so far, so it would be hard to imagine it would decrease particularly much. And so
Dileira also got his Kuro cutscene skip, keeping a nice par with his opponents. It's nice to see. I wouldn't expect a miss on the Kuro cutscene skip, and thankfully we didn't see that today. We'll also see Evie opening up a save anywhere menu. Nice job by Dileira getting out of those insta-kill spikes with, I think, a little bit of an unorthodox method, but it did the job. Didn't die, which is the important thing. And Evie is going to be heading over to the left side.
Yes, Evie is going to be heading into Valley of the Wind, which is where the run starts to get really fast, but also really difficult.
Yes, it is.
And
anyway, I think we should even start sort of to talk about the left side of the map. Really, we do generally talk, for anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about when we say the left side, generally we refer to the right side of the map as areas like Swamp and Moon Grotto, Glades, that kind of area. And for the left side of the map, and the Ginso tree. For the left side of the map, it's sort of when you go left from the Spear tree in the speedrun, which gets you immediately towards this fast Stompless trick, and then towards Glide, Misty Wood, Sarabash, some of these areas. It sort of marks not the halfway point of the run in terms of time, but a sort of conceptual halfway point. We're going to see Eviona taking their attempts at fast Stompless, bashing the Spider Shot away. The shot looked good to me, although, what do I know, it's impossible to predict those shots. Stomp stall in midair, makes it up to the cell. Well done.
And gets it first try.
Clean execution.
Yes, extremely well done. That is not the easiest trick to get.
We'll see if Dileira can keep pace again. Dileira certainly not out of the running. I mean, Eviona, we know that they're really every part of the run, but also the late game is very, very strong. Done well, this section from Glide all the way to Charge Jump and even up to Sunstone goes very, very quickly, faster than you might think.
Oh yes, this is definitely one of the parts of the run where I would say more experienced runners definitely get their. This is where
let's focus in. I'm going to interrupt you again. Let's focus left side. We need to focus on this. Sarabash coming in. We have exciting things on both sides. Evie got through Sarabash first try. Dileira also got his fast Stompless. No sad cells today. We got the cells and we are happy. Instead, Eviona, just like magic, snap your fingers, blink and you'll miss it, is into Sarapass. Series of rocket jumps is going to get them through this just ultra fast. Holy cow.
Yeah, that is just some extremely clean play, both sides. Wow, this is like I said, this is one of the parts of the run where I would say that it separates high-level runners from mid to low-level runners by comparison. It's just not. It is a very hard part of the run. Very easy to make very slight errors that cost a lot of time. So it's just such clean play is just really what sets these higher level runners apart in this stage of the run.
Speaking of clean play, let's pay attention to the right side. Dileira did not make a safety save. I believe is only at 1 health. He has a 75%, percentage. Slurring my words on Sarabash, and he has almost made it inside, accidentally killed his bird without getting the bash, and because he didn't make a safety save, Dileira has to go all the way down and rocket jump off another frog. It still won't take him long to get back up there. So the time loss in terms of just raw time is not too impactful, but certainly not something that Dileira wanted to see. I also believe that he just burned an energy, so that'll impact things as well.
Oh yeah, definitely, because it affects your ability to, especially with the rocket jumps that you need to use to get through in Sorrow Pass.
Close one by Dileira. Accidentally touched the spikes. Remember that Dileira, well, the spikes do 4 damage, so they kill you in 1 shot at 4 health. They especially kill you at 1 shot in 3 health. Looks like Dileira has some cleaner charge dashes, excuse me. So he'll be taking another attempt. I believe this is his 3rd attempt. Let's see if he can get through cleanly.
Yeah, that is probably one of the most painful ways to fail Sorrow Bash is by getting hit on those very last spikes, and he gets through this time, gets up into Sorrow Pass, but we'll see how the energy route is affected. Ooh, and messes up.
I can't imagine it'll affect him too much. Dileira's an experienced runner, although he did have to do another rocket jump to get out. Eviona's leaving, so we'll catch back up with Evie as they head towards Misty Woods in a moment. Dileira is slowed up. He has to go off to the left through the Mechanite Museum to get to the charge jump tree. I don't think that was intentional. That's okay. The ultimate value safety save lost him like 1 second.
Yes, and getting through these spikes and has a save for the ghost door, and yes, the energy route is definitely good. Starts at the save anywhere for Terra Break, and meanwhile Evie is just tearing through these spikes in Misty Woods. As soon as you try to talk,
go ahead, Flux.
No, it's just sort of, especially like when faster runners are playing through Misty Woods, as soon as you try and talk about any one particular thing that they're doing, they're already on to like 3 other things because the area goes so fast.
That's right. I do want to just make a special point to point out all these spikes here will one-shot Eviona. They will also one-shot Dileira due to them both having 3 health. Ordinarily, runners would be able to survive one hit to the spikes in Misty. Not the case in this particular race.
Yeah, definitely makes it very risky, going to be very interesting to see how the runners handle it, but at the experience that they have, there shouldn't be much problems.
I also want to point out the stomp cancels that Eviona is performing very, very well. Stomp cancels are not something unique to people with sub 30 time or anything. Many of our runners go for stomp cancels. Nice move there by Evie as well. Stomp cancels are a way to refund the energy from a charge dash, and they take quite a bit of practice in order to stomp out of the charge dash at the appropriate time, especially to change them together, because they are faster than dash gliding, and it's wonderful to see this level of execution from Eviona. It also just allows you to blaze through the area and burn way less energy than you might expect given the number of charge dashes. Ooh. That's a death.
That is, fortunately, had a pretty nicely placed safety save there, so they are able to recover that pretty quickly. I actually had not seen that safety save, so I was worried they were going to be going all the way back to the climb tree.
To be honest, I'm sort of surprised to see it, but that's okay, we're through. We'll also take a look at these little mini-bosses. Although done well, they pretty much disappear. That's one of our many quick
hard to
kill
take a
strats
look
for the
at it
mini-boss.
when they disappear that quickly.
That is true. So we see Dileira coming into Misty Woods as well. I would expect to see similar strategies. At these kinds of levels, you tend to not see too many strat differences. Maybe we'll see more stomp cancels in general from Eviona, but we'll also see plenty of them from Dileira as well, trying to preserve as much energy as possible. It's very important going through Misty Woods that you save at least 1 energy so that you can do a series of charge dashes. And it looks like Dileira's okay in that regard.
Yeah. And meanwhile, Evie coming out of Misty Woods, bit of a high five there again, and making her way back into Blackroot Burrows to get Grenade and go on to the end game.
What else is there to say? This is some very, very clean play from Eviona. That death was intentional, by the way, so don't worry about that one.
Yeah,
that death allows us to
that
break
death
the door
is
open on
very,
that.
very intentional, very quickly done. So when you die intentionally, I guess that's all. That is another slight advantage of having 3 HP here, rather than just being faster to get the HP cells. Is when you need to take a death there, you just die right away.
So Dileira, by the way, has to give a little bit of a race update. Eviona on the left still has a commanding lead. Dileira has made it to climb and has to work through the second half of Misty Woods before exiting, whereas Eviona has just picked up their 11th and final skill, which also unlocks grenade jumps. So I don't remember offhand. Okay, looks like Evie is going to be going for some grenade jumps. They're very, very fun to watch. They also happen to save time, so it's the best of both worlds. There's only one that is required in the run, quote-unquote, required right near the end of the run, although it's not uncommon to see more and more runners, I think, going for more of these strats. We also, I believe, saw some stair cancels there, just really showing off the swag to get to that. What for most people is the 5th health cell, for Evie it is the 4th health cell.
Oh yes, that is definitely some extremely clean play, and that swamp teleporter that we were talking about earlier coming into play here, as they are now moving on. Another little grenade jump there.
Flux, I want to ask you a question. I want to ask you a question as Eviona is grabbing the 5th health and is going to be coming up on their door. While we have just a moment here,
Yes.
do you think Dileira has a chance to catch up? Are there any pain points remaining for Eviona?
I would say it would be very hard to say. I wouldn't say I expect Dileira to be able to catch up per se, but there are still some points where there could definitely be time loss, just for very minor reasons that lead to a lot of things. Especially that last grenade jump. I don't expect to see a soft block, but it's always a possibility.
I'm going to interrupt you. Eviona got a first try door up while we were talking. We almost missed it, but thankfully Eviona did not miss it. With a nice first try, is going to be heading towards the final escape. I would not expect to see any issues from Evie as they just work their way through, culminate some skills, hopefully not culminate any fire damage, and then we'll make it all the way to the end.
Yes, and like I said, the only thing I would expect to see even potentially go wrong for them at this point in the run is a soft block on the final grenade jump, but even that, I would imagine, not the most likely scenario.
That's right. Evie could soft lock and take probably 1 or even 2 or 3 more attempts at this escape sequence and probably finish it out, especially because their execution is going to cause this escape sequence to be so fast. We're going to see Eviona float around this area. They're going to be coming up on the poison water momentarily. With only 5 health, your movement has to be very pristine to work through this water that is anything but pristine. Made it through just fine with 1 health remaining. Is going to jump up to despawn Kuro and is going to quickly come up on the final grenade jump. If you get this first try, save something like 35 seconds. That was an intentional miss to sort of help prevent a soft block and get into a better position. Missed the first one, but they can continue taking more attempts as long as energy remains, since Kuro is completely despawned. We're out.
And yes, that is a good grenade jump, and well, as Dileira is doing some grenade jumps for himself now that he has grenade, Evie will be holding right to complete the run.
That's right. GG to Evie will be taking the victory in this race, and we can direct all of our attention over to Dileira, who is still playing pretty cleanly for his parts. I don't think it's possible for him to get a PB at this point, and I don't know if Dileira will be incredibly pleased with this run, but he has not had like a train wreck run by any means. He's had a handful of mistakes and a handful of deaths. Oh yeah, but he's still playing okay, especially against an opponent like Eviona. It was going to be difficult from the get-go to be able to get a victory.
And it looks like Eviona has a final time of 30:53, which is definitely a good bit faster than their previous best race time. So that is definitely very, very well done on their part.
Well, compared to the PB of 29:45, that's only a little over a minute and 8 seconds off PB, which is good for anyone, especially when you're in the low 30 range. So something for Eviona to be proud of. And they will be taking the victory. We'll go into the brackets and the implications for what happens after this race once we're done. Yes. First, we're going to pay attention to Dileira as he's going to do a nice grenade jump, attempt a nice grenade jump, and then come up to door orbs. Eviona got door orb first attempt, so let's see if Dileira can do that as well. If not, take a moral victory, take a moral tie, I guess.
Yeah. And door warp is one of those tricks that is
Hard?
Yes.
Is that the word
But
you're
it's
looking for?
Yes, it's hard, but not in the sense that it gives you a whole lot to go
Well,
off of. First,
And not
got a
hard
first
for
try.
Dileira, apparently, because he got it
Yes,
first
no,
try just like
it
Evie.
is. Yep, it is. What makes it hard is that it's a one-frame trick that is just entirely based off of timing within the game. It's not based off of any of your other inputs. It is just putting in one single button input right at a very specific time, and
Well,
not a
we
hard
are- we
input
are
at all,
past it.
but very hard time.
We are past it, and we are moving on to the final escape. Just like Eviona, I would expect to see no issues really from Dileira. He's going to be stomping and using charge dashes and maybe a charge flame, although probably not, to get through this. Dileira also is sitting at only 5 health, so he has to avoid all damage, which you would have to do even 6 health, but it makes the poison swim more difficult at 5 health. He has to bash off of these 2 fish and try to get around the corner, just cutting these corners as tightly as possible. Well done getting through the poison water. Only the grenade jump stands in his way.
Yep, manages to avoid spawning Kuro, and now is gonna be trying for grenade jump as well, and gets it first try. No soft lock. GG.
Flux,
Dileira.
did you see that stat on screen? 100% grenade jump.
100% grenade jump, and still 100% grenade jump for Dileira. So that at least is something to be happy with, if nothing else from this run.
I don't think that there are a huge number of runners in this tournament who can claim 100% on that frame perfect trick at the end over what will be Dileira's now 4th or 5th match. I don't recall whether he had 4 or 5 people in his group match, but certainly something to be proud of. Dileira will be holding right with Naru, and we'll be getting a final time shortly, and then we'll sort of run through the brackets and whatnot before sort of, I think, closing out. I don't believe we'll be doing interviews today, although I'll get confirmation on that as well.
I believe you're right, no interviews. And 33:50 looks to be the final time from Dileira, so a little under 3 minutes difference between the final times, which is pretty much exactly what we could have expected given their PBs. So very nicely done to both runners.
That's right. Well, we'll sort of jump into brackets and close things out. Eviona took the victory, Dileira took the loss, but even though this is our elimination bracket, Dileira is not eliminated from the tournament completely due to the fact that we have sort of a double elimination format. So as you can see, everyone in the top round is allowed 1 loss, and if they lose, rather than getting kicked out of the tournament, they just get knocked down to the lower bracket. So with that win, you can see that Dileira got knocked down to the lower bracket, whereas Eviona is going to stay in the top bracket and will have to contend against the legendary Sigma, who briefly popped in for commentary earlier.
Yes, thank you, by the way, to Sigma for that. That was extremely nice to have you to cover for me while my internet was not cooperating. But yes, as you have said, Dileira not out of the tournament yet. Will be facing the winner of another match coming up from the lower bracket between Red Rum and Mathluko, which give him another chance to
claw his way back up if he wants it.
Yes, and that is going to be very exciting to watch both of these runners as they continue through the tournament, as well as just very exciting to watch the rest of the tournament in general. So I hope you all will stay tuned for future matches and what is coming up next on the tournament.
So first of all, on the main Speed Gaming channel where we are right now, we have nothing directly after this match, but if you wait about an hour, we have another Ori match coming up. It's going to be Yoko versus Vanguard. That's at 6 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time, since Daylight Savings happened. So we don't have any Ori right away, but stick around for an hour or go do something and come back in an hour and come watch another match. As I said earlier, we have a total of 4 matches today. The next one's in an hour, and then we have 2 more later this evening.
Yes, and you will be able to hear Grim on commentary once again as well. He will be commentating on the 6 p.m. match. I will not be, but in my place, we'll have Lurking Assassin. So, yes, we will.
That's right.
So, in that
thanks for watching, everyone.
Thank you for watching, everyone, and there will be plenty more Ori to come today and just afterwards. So definitely a lot more to watch.
All right, have a good one, everyone. Come back in an hour for more Ori. See ya.
Yes. We will see you then.
damage as they head through. So, ooh, nice job. And wow, Yoko. Oh,
No,
my
oh no,
goodness.
Yoko. Oh my goodness. Please be careful.
He hasn't taken any like really bad deaths as a result, but
Oh no!
Why did I say that? Why did I say that?
Yeah, true shade. So we're going to see what D2 decides to do. Nice safety save there. And wow, the value from the safety save.
The trick itself requires precisely positioning a frog and managing your XP, but because that can happen, because that froggy has a chair and it can stomp it right on your tiny little head.
Oh god, Milton, get out of there!
Holy crap, the recovery from that.
It's deceptive. Ooh, deceptively difficult. Rufus.
Holy
so close.
crap, Rufus.
Oh.
Oh god.
Fix it.
And what is happening now?
I don't know.
Oh,
Monkey's shot going through.
Oh, jeez, missed the double bash though. He's gotta go back up. Monkey's shots are phasing before. I hope he does not hit that on the upper one. Jesus, broken his swamp.
Oh, Monkey getting hit by the shot.
Metal that Terra did. Oh, missing that, but he's got the backup. That's okay. Oh my gosh.
Oh, God.
Terra. Oh my gosh. Okay, try again. This time you can get to the platform.
What you've seen from runners like Lucidus, Uncle Ronnie, and Eviona so far in the tournament, and oh wow!
Damn.
I do not know how he survived.
Both runners getting that 5th.
Oh, Randomson had a really... Wow, what a nice backup, though. Randomson had trouble with the first spider shot, but now it's basically tied.
Go stomp the rocks. And oh,
Fluffy, what
I didn't know you could do that.
Oh,
You really just keep
goodness.
moving and skip that cutscene?
Oh, God! Hori's in the air! Hello!
Oh no. Oh Frankie. Frankie, please go away. Oh, that is so
no.
painful.
Oh, this is a party. Luckily, he does have a safety.
Yeah. Oh, mini boss not quite going according to plan. Melvin's gonna go with the stomp spam. Keep that frog away. Get out of here. Don't hit me with your chair. He says he gets through it okay, and we'll be just finishing up Misty.
The section is really difficult with the 5 health. Alright, he gets the bash off of the fish. So yeah, he gets through, but upcoming here is
He's gone through!
Oh, he died! Death! Richard is in the lead. No, they're tied. Richard just died as well.
What?
This is literally synced in the final escape, guys. Unbelievable.
They both stopped the thing together. Okay.
Each one of those grenades costs 1. He's got 1 left. That's enough for 2 grenade jump attempts. If he keeps missing in that particular way, he's got 1 chance left.
One more.
And he gets it! The
First
clutch.
try, and well, not first try, but you know what? First try.
We'll call it first try.